Jedi. This is what we're going to do today, Facebook. It's your girl Jedi, Empress Jedi, the Rebel Rouser, High Priestess of Ma'at. It's a Black Enlightenment production. Here at Black Enlightenment, we're broadcasting consciousness, most high be glorified, magnified, and praised. All right. Got a strategy going on. Some kind of strategy coming out before we even get the cards shuffled. Go ahead and get a prayer in for your protection. I have invited, in the spirit of truth, love, wisdom, prophecy, foresight, hindsight, insight, into the room, all the highest vibrational spiritual assistants who attend to me. I thank you and I welcome you and invite you to see through this reading. Give us what we need. Most high be glorified, magnified, and praised by this work. We call in Master Gilgala, the first, the first master astronomer and first to use cards for divination, friend of Adam and Eve. We salute all of them, and let's get into it. Clearly, the cards are ready to talk already. I didn't even get them up off the board before they were speaking. So we've got a man who wants to be king. Well, first we've got a strategy, okay? We've got somebody is planning a strategy. Somebody's coming up with a way. This is not a haphazard situation, okay? And this is a man who wants to be king. So when we look at the man who wants to be king, this is not a person who seeks power. Well, if he's this way, he does, right? But when it's this way, when he's upright, this is a man who seeks to be king, meaning he strives to demonstrate kingly qualities: honesty, uprightness, forward thinking, altruism, courage, decisiveness, the ability to listen, the ability to speak with authority, all of these things, right? A sound sense of balance, of law, love for the land, love for people. These are the qualities of a king. And this is a man like that who is has a strategy, is working on a strategy. His strategy right now is at the center of what's going on in the collective energy. Guys, remember, you don't want to tie yourself into things that aren't for you. And so make sure you are praying that if the reading is for you, that you receive what's for you. You know, parts of it may fit and parts of it may not fit your situation, but you never want to insert yourself into a situation that's not yours, trying to make it fit. Unless, of course, it's a higher timeline than the one you're currently on. And then sometimes you can just jump timelines. I jump timelines a lot. And so, but you don't want to jump from, out of the pan and into the fire. So you don't want to be crossing timelines and jumping into somebody else's mess because it sounded interesting or cool or something like that, right? So that's the kind of stuff you want to pray about whenever you encounter anyone, a friend giving advice, a pastor in the pulpit, a reader on the internet, doesn't matter. Whenever someone is speaking over or into your life and saying, you XYZ, you always want to pray that you only receive that which is true and beneficial to you, right? Okay, so anyway, so this man who wants to be king has a strategy, all right? Hallelujah. Tell us more, spirit of truth, love, wisdom, justice, and prophecy. Tell us more, friends of the light. Ooh. Oh, boy. Okay, so where this is going is, this is carry your own basket, right? So this is like someone being reminded that there's no free rides, right? Like there's no free ride. You have to be able to carry your own weight, right? And so that's what this card reminds us. And someone being reminded to carry their own weight because sweetness only stays on the tongue for a short time. So what that is looking like is someone is trying to come up with a strategy for how to either tell someone that they will no longer be supporting them or to prepare themselves for some sort of support to dry up. right? Some sort of sweet situation that is not a lasting situation. It's a good situation for now, but someone needs to add more value to the situation, apparently, right? Or create a situation where they're more secure. Either way, this is where this is going. The strategy is going towards somebody carrying their own weight and some sweet situation, changing. So it's kind of like, you got 6 months to be out of your parents' house because, all you do is eat up the food and you don't even wash the dishes. And they didn't mind you coming and moving back home, but damn, you got to help out. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, it could be that, all right, well, we'll give you this many months and then you got to go. Or in this many months, you'll be starting to pay rent or something like that, right? Okay. So tell us more, Spirit of Truth, Love, Wisdom, and Prophecy. Tell us more. What is going on here? All right, we've got this one that wants to come out, not quite. I'm going to give it its place. Right. So, and we do have, I don't know if you guys can see them. We have two that came out down here. Now, these all three are, well, I guess this one's kind of sort of in the middle and sort of down here, but these came out before that one, so we'll talk about these two first. But these, sorry, give me 1 second. These two are, all right, so this is hopes and fears, right? So these are mental projections. And what this person is hope/fearing, okay, is that they have failed to protect the blessing, that they have in some way not shown, like they failed to be a hero, right? Or someone's failing to be a hero, and it is, remember when we see this one, it's not just the hero, but it's the state authorized hero, right? So the state authorized hero was not a hero or didn't have the authority of the state, and they cause a loss of a blessing. So someone is wondering if okay, so one way I could read this is, let's say this guy who wants to be king is a dad of a baby. He's got a baby mama, and he's been really supporting that baby mama, right? He's been supporting her and the baby. She doesn't have to work. Baby mama doesn't have to work. They may or may not be together, okay? Let's say that they are, right? They're together. He works all the time, but he works, she doesn't work. But let's say that she does not, she's not doing the best job with the house. She's not doing the best job with the baby. She's not very attentive to him. And so he's looking at a strategy for how to, approach divorce. Or if they're not together, he's realizing that he needs to wean this woman off of his income largely, right? And so what this would look like in that situation is wondering if involving the courts would cause more trouble or would solve troubles, right? So like, do we get a divorce attorney, or do we go for the divorce, by ourselves? Or do we go to the courts and get a child support order? Or do we just agree to a certain fee every month, right? He's nervous about involving the state in this in whatever this plan is that he's developing, he's not sure if the state involvement is going to be a blessing or a curse, right? But he knows, because this one is like stay woke, right? And I also associate it with friends, for friends. Like, you know, they're back to back to back to back and the war's going on around them, right? So for me, it helps me to see the stay alert image, because it's like each person, you know, each person is responding to their area of sight, right? So that this person doesn't have to worry about what's going on behind them, because this person is alert. This person doesn't have to worry about what's going on behind them, because this person is alert, right? So this one's about that kind of energy. And so, again, more of the carry your own weight kind of energy going on. So this guy, this man who wants to be king, is really feeling I don't want to say that he's feeling overwhelmed, but he's definitely carrying, he knows that he's carrying his share of the weight, and probably too much. He's realizing, I think, that he's carrying more than his share of the weight, right? And so he's looking at the possible state involvement. Are they going to see him as carrying his own weight, or are they going to see that he needs to carry more weight or less weight or whatever? But he's looking for a fair, he's trying to come up with a fair way to wean some energy off of his energy, it looks like, right? And this could be energetic. This doesn't have to be monetary, right? Because, excuse me, pardon me, you know, it could be you're in a relationship with someone and you're the one that always apologizes. You're the one that always has to, you know, you have an argument and both of you say mean things to each other, but you're the one that has to apologize, and then they accept your apology, but they never apologize for what they said because they felt justified for whatever reason, right? Or, you know, you guys go no contact, you stop speaking. You're the one that always has to call first, right? Hey, been thinking about you. Oh, I've been thinking about you too, right? Those kind of unbalanced relationships. This could also apply to that type of a situation, right? Where a person is feeling like, I've got to come up with a way to wean this person from so much of my energy. I don't necessarily see that this is, well, let's just see what the cards say. Oh, wow, look on the bottom. We've got another one that represents like hardiness, right? I want to say that this one is more about this one is like mutual understanding, mutual agreement, right? Understanding, that kind of a vibe. And so for that to come out on the bottom of my deck, mutual agreement. This person wants it to be amicable. They want to be able to still be on speaking terms. They don't want drama to unfold. All right, put that there. Okay. Wow. Wow, there's a lot going on at the bottom of this deck. Dishonor. Right. This person worries about that. Like, this person wants to be king. They want to be seen as kingly, right? So they don't want to be seen as the person that doesn't carry their weight, or rejected, you know, like didn't support their child, or knocked somebody up and didn't take the, you know, didn't take the responsibility seriously or something like that. Like, this person doesn't want that, right? This person really wants whatever this breakup or this weaning from their energy, guys, this could be happening at a job where you're doing your share and somebody else's. And, you know, you kind of started helping other people out because you're just high performing and you could. But now you realize that you're doing some of everybody's job and you're only getting paid for your job. And it's to the point now when if you don't do other people's jobs, they're looking at you crazy like, what, you didn't do XYZ today? You're like, dude, that's not my job. I usually do it just because I'm, you know, here first, but it's not actually my job. I don't have to get here early to do that. Like, I have stuff going on at home, right? It's that kind of a place where you're not trying to quit the job necessarily, right? But you need to come to a better understanding about who's responsible for what, right? But you're nervous because if you go to the manager and complain, it might end up being more of a, you know, blessing than a curse, right? You might go to the manager like, look, you know, I'm doing this one's job and that one's job, but then maybe they might get together and all agree that, you know, you're some jerk and they don't want you around, and before you know it, you lose a job, you know? Or maybe it's the manager that you have to report to HR, and then, you know, now you're going to get hazed, and again, and then you'll lose your job. You know what I mean? It's that kind of a nuanced thing where you need to put up some boundaries and some limits, but you want to do so in a way that doesn't destroy whatever the relationship is, whatever the thing is. You don't want to destroy that, right? But you need to pay attention, though, okay? Really pay attention so that you can come to true understanding. Because some of these situations are going to be where people are clearly taking advantage of you because you're the nice guy and they figure you just always let them. And some of these types of situations, pardon me, are just because of miscommunication, or, you know, a lot of times we get very capitalistic in the way we approach everything, right? So like we forget the concept. Everybody hates communism, right? But communism is everybody put in according to ability into the pot, right? Put in what you can, and then everybody take out what you need from the pot. And that balances itself out because you'll have some people who are able to contribute more than they need. And you'll have some people who need more than they're able to contribute. And then you'll have some people that are going to contribute just about what they need. But it balances itself out, right? But a lot of times we get caught up in, I put 10 in and I only use 2, and she's over there and she only put 2 in, but she gets to use 10. What is that about? That's not fair, right? We can get into this mindset of that's not fair. But that is fair, because if you can produce 10, by all means, produce 10. But if you only need 2, by all means, only take 2. That's actually fair. That's how nature is created, right? Like an apple tree doesn't limit the amount of apples it can produce based on anything. It just produces as many apples as it possibly can in a season, period, point blank. Whether people eat them, whether they rot at the tree, whether the birds eat them, the apple doesn't get involved in all that. The apple produces to its highest capacity because it's an apple tree. That's what it does, right? And so that's how we should approach when we are working or entering into something where we're giving out energy. Give as much energy as you can because you can, right? And then don't be so worried about who's doing what with the energy, because if you're giving wisely, you're giving what you can. You're not giving more than you can, you're giving what you can. So it's no loss to you either way, right? And so that's what I think whoever this is that's going through this needs to contemplate, right? Are you being taken advantage of, or are you just, you know, more capable and therefore you have more dependence than most people, you know? All right, so, and I'm not suggesting it's either way. You will know your situation if this applies to you, right? I do want to say though, we hear a lot about energy harvesting. Never mind. I said I to come highlight. Spirit of truth, wisdom, prophecy, protected. Something is protected. Okay, so yeah, I'll go into it then. when we talk about energy harvesting, people harvesting your energy, it's important to remember that it's okay for people to use your energy to become great. That's like why, that's why certain of us have that kind of inspiring aspect to us where you just show up and suddenly people feel like they can rule the world, right? And the longer you're around, the more empowered people feel, and you're giving great ideas, and you're giving good advice, and you're giving good vibes, and you're giving comfort when they need it, and you're ride or die. You're ready to go down the street and punch somebody in the face if they need it. Like, you make people feel really secure in being able to control their own destiny, right? And so the more people come around you and get that energy from you, they're harvesting energy from you, right? So it's not in and of itself a bad thing, as long as you do not give more than you can, right? As long as you know when to put up those boundaries and say, okay, listen, I am here to try to help you through whatever this is, or help you come up or whatever. But Saturdays are for me. Don't call me on Saturday. I don't care. Unless someone is like in the hospital dying, don't call me on Saturday. Unless the house is on fire, don't call me on Saturday, right? And so those kinds of boundaries where you're making sure that you are protecting your own energy so that you don't become depleted, because you should be giving from overflow, right? All right. So, and that's what you should, or you are contemplating, how to protect yourself, right? Because you also want to protect yourself from becoming jaded and isolated, where you cut everybody off because you don't want to share your energy because people aren't able to reciprocate, or don't reciprocate for whatever reason, and then you cut yourself off. Like, what good is an apple tree that don't bear apples? I mean, it'll still give you shade, but it's called an apple tree because of the apples, not because of the shade. It's called a tree because of the shade, but its identity is in the apples, right? So, yeah. All right, let's see what else. Spirit of truth, love, wisdom, and prophecy, talk to us. What else do we need to know about this situation? All right. Well, we've got more state coming in. This is the king's eye. The king sees all, the king knows all. So that's more state type, system involvement here. And it's coming in with the carry your own weight, carry your own basket. Yeah, the state is going to, or the state or the manager, or you got to tell mom, whoever it is, the higher authority in the situation is going to be fair. I see that they're going to be fair. And, wow, protection, very fragile, very, very fragile. Yeah, that's why you're looking at a strategy. Whatever the situation is, there is something that's you don't want to put at risk. Something very important that does very much, can very much be impacted by all of this. Something that could be destroyed if this goes the wrong way. Like, really destroyed if this goes the wrong way. So it's wise that you are looking at a strategy and looking to build understanding in that strategy. It is wise, okay? Don't be careless. I think that you're right if you're leaning toward calling in the authorities, right? Whatever that situation is, the higher ups in the situation, I think that is wise, because there is something that you need to protect that could take a big, big hit if this goes wrong. All right. Simple. It's simple. It's not complicated or okay. Don't overcomplicate it. All right. This is not a time to nitpick over fine details. Try to get a basic and very grounded understanding of all of the players and their needs, don't overcomplicate it. Don't get into like minute details that are only going to cause bickering, or people may feel like attacked, right? Like let's say it's the case of like the divorce or something, right? Or like, right? Or like if it's the case with like the divorce, it's going in and asking like, okay, what would you say, ask your spouse, what would you say is fair spousal support or whatever, right? And they say, well, this much. And you think that's a little bit high maybe, right? So you're like, okay, well, rather than say, well, can you give us an itemized list of how you spend the money every month, or how, a budget down to like the penny. You don't need a budget down to the penny, okay? You need a general budget that makes sense, right? Because if you start, well, why would you need to spend $300 a month on your hair? Or, why? I know that you can buy cheaper Pampers than that, right? I saw Pampers for $3 less a box at Rite Aid. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, okay? You do not want to get involved in those kinds of minute overcomplicating the situation. Like, don't do that. That is going to put whatever this precious thing is that you must protect at risk. And I'm hearing and feeling like it's connected to you being known as a person who wants to be king. So you don't want to start getting into some petty, you don't want to become petty, because it's going to really damage your reputation, which is something that matters a lot to you, right? Also, there is I haven't seen it come out in cards, but I'm feeling like there is a risk of becoming like fascinated with, right? Like we're obsessed. So like where you're tracking the person's every penny. So now monitoring their spending becomes like your obsession. And now you're failing in other areas where you have thrived because you're so worried about whether she spent $30 or $20 on diapers, like you don't want to do that. All right. Tell us more. And you know that's, look at these, what is this on the pinky? Where are you going? All right. So, yeah. Honor. Now remember, this came out, I don't know if you remember, but on the bottom of the deck a while ago, I said there's a lot going on the bottom of this deck. And honor had come out, it peaked out, right? But it was in a weird position. But it comes out here. It did come out hiding, right? So something that's either not being talked about or seen, or doesn't want to be talked about and seen. And honor is not being talked about or seen, or in terms of the outcome, right? And it's combined with the outcome, which is this, and the strategy, which is this, right? So we've got, for where this is going, this is your strategy to get this person to carry their own weight, because shit ain't gonna be sweet forever. We bring in the higher ups, the authorities, and there's hidden honor there for you. So there's going to be a level up in terms of the way you're seen that people aren't necessarily going to discuss with you, but are going to discuss amongst each other. And interestingly enough, you see, I just flipped this back over, it comes out sideways. This person that you're having to cut off is likewise going to be dishonored in a way that people may not discuss in their face, but are definitely going to be discussing. So the way that you carry yourself through this is going to reveal that you have been honorable and that this person is being dishonorable. So what that looks like is you're in the mediation for the divorce, or at the job or whatever, and you are clearly attempting to make compromise, concessions. You're willing to bend and to be generous. And the other person, though, is like, they say, okay, diapers cost $30 a box and I need, one box a week. And so you're like, okay, now you know that diapers cost $20 a box, but you're going to give 30, because, okay, let's add wipes and, a soda when you go out to buy the Pampers, whatever. You're like, 30 is fine. And so you're like, all right, there's 4 weeks in a month. We'll say $120 for diapers. That sounds fair. And then they're like, I want 150. You're like, but why would you need 150 when diapers are only 20? So really 80 would be accurate, but I feel like, a little extra wouldn't hurt. So 120, but where do you get 150? Right? And so that kind of thing will be revealed. So that is what is going to protect your reputation, which is one of the things that you need to be protecting throughout this ordeal, right? But it will be, that's taking the position that I'm telling you to take, that you already are thinking that you need to take, inviting in the higher ups, whatever mediator, whatever authority, whatever person can help sort it out, and maintaining your position of trying to be understanding, protecting your own energy, but being generous, understanding, and all of that will reveal both of your position, right? And I think that what may shock you, and you should be prepared, is to find out how much this person, how dishonorable this other person is. Like, I think you're going to be shocked by your approach being such a sound, fair approach, and the way that they're going to respond as if you're being stingy and unreasonable. But keep your cool through it, okay? Keep your cool through it, because this is critical that you handle this the right way. So we also have something that's maybe not being discussed or seen, or doesn't want to be discussed and seen, and this is what's on your mind. Like, this is the subconscious, where you need to protect, where you are, you don't want to overcomplicate things, this fragile, something's fragile, like that's all kind of going on under the waters, right? But this is like what you're actually dealing with in the moment, and how you're approaching it, and faith comes out. That's beautiful. I love that in that position in this reading. I really do, because it shows that you understand that all good things work together for the good of those who love the Most High and are called according to her purpose, right? So knowing that if you conduct yourself the right way, and by the right way, I mean according to your own moral standards, right? You don't leave your own moral standards, meaning that you don't become stingy and mean just because you're being treated mean by some greedy person. Their greed does not necessarily make you stingy. You can still be generous to a greedy person as long as you know how much you're willing to give and how much you're not, and how they receive it is on them, right? Now, there's something to be said for not throwing pearls to swine and all of that, but without getting into that, doesn't matter, right? The way that you conduct yourself is determined by your faith, is determined by what you believe about the world, the universe, creation, yourself, your creator. That guides you. And that's where you're putting your thought process, is through faith. And that's beautiful. That's exactly where you need to be. I don't know who you are, sir, or this could be a woman. I say the man who wants to be king, that's what that is. But please remember that gender is, while I'm going to speak in terms of the genders that present themselves, always remember that gender is, we're talking about energy, right? So there's no, like, we all have both energies. So this could be a woman going through this just as well. It's just that she's a woman who carries the characteristics of kingliness, right? So either way. But yeah, I love this for you. I love the way that you're approaching this with faith. It's very, very beautiful, okay? So something else that's not necessarily being seen or hidden and relates to this hopes and fears ish area, right? And remember, this is like dutifulness, alertness, like that, right? And so what's not being said or seen or doesn't want to be said or seen about that is cooperation, right? And remember, I mentioned that this card for me looks like four warriors back to back, right? And so cooperation falling with it, with dutifulness and alertness, you're really hoping that this person is going to cooperate you, whoever this person is that you need to wean. You're really hoping that they're going to be cooperative. And I think you may have a fear about that. Like, what does this look like if it gets nasty, right? It looks like you don't get nasty, okay? You can't get nasty with them. You have to be cooperative. But I also feel a little warning in there to be mindful of who helps you through this. Keep your eye on the helpers, quote unquote, that show up in your energy. Pay attention to them, because I don't know that everyone showing up to help, there may be like spies, you know what I mean? People who are wanting to help for strange reasons. I don't know. That hasn't come out in the cards, but I feel like this dutifulness and alertness and cooperation, pay attention. Stay woke with people that come along and want to help. Stay woke. Like, watch the lawyer's fees. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let the lawyer overcharge you, or, you know, if you go to a coworker to discuss it, you know, mind what you say about others in that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be like, you know, so-and-so's lazy. I do her work every day. Just leave out the so-and-so's lazy part and just say, well, you know, I do this every day for her, and that is her assigned task and not mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, be that kind of mindful. Not saying that you have to become isolated and fearful. Just be mindful of who those people are that come along beside you. Pay attention, okay? Spirit of truth, love, wisdom, and prophecy. Tell us what else we need to know. Ooh. Okay. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of police activity here. Okay, we got the police and the government in the room. Okay, y'all. Oh my gosh, cars are falling out everywhere. All right. Shit. All right, now. This takes this reading in a whole next direction. All of the same concepts, but the example now, this feels related. Okay. All right. So with these cards jumping out, I am directed to talk about this all right, if you are a person who is caught up in some shit and you're trying to figure out how to take accountability for your own part, without having to carry the weight of shit that you didn't have anything to do with, okay? And you're realizing that you need to separate yourself from this group, or to differentiate yourself from this group, right? Like, yeah, I was okay with pouring the, you know, water on them, but I didn't know it was hot water. Like, I would not have done that. I would not have participated if I'd known you guys were going to pour a bucket of hot water on the person. That's pouring a bucket of water on somebody is, you know, it's a mean little prank, but pouring a bucket of hot water on someone is cruel and criminal, you know? It's like that, right? So this calling in the authorities, we've got more of the authorities here, guys, right? And this is a fort or a prison, okay? Because what's the difference between a fort and a prison? Absolutely nothing, okay? They're the same thing. The question is, are you the person with the keys or not? Right? So, yeah, shit. Now, to add to all of what we've been saying, when you look at more police, a prison, and then eloquence, right? Cooperating with the helpers, being mindful how you cooperate with the helpers, honor, you restoring honor, other people being dishonored. You need to, if you're going to snitch, which you should, okay? You should snitch. The whole concept of snitches get stitches, fuck that. You can repent from evil doing at any moment. You can turn and break league from evildoers. And if you got to tell the whole damn story, tell your part, their part. If you got to tell to break league, so be it. No one owes anybody any allegiances that should drag you to hell. Fuck that, okay? So let snitches get stitches all day, every day. Nobody gives a shit because, you know, no one is going to, you are alone in your joys and your sufferings, and it doesn't benefit you to keep holding on to that which you know is toxic, especially out of something like fear of getting beat up, okay? Because at the end of the day, if the last thing that you do, let's say that somebody's actually going to kill you if you snitch. Well, if the last thing that you do is write a truthful confession that gets all the evildoers that you've been working with in whatever capacity brought to justice, that's an honorable last act of yours, and you will be received in the ethers as having done a very heroic, courageous thing, even especially if it cost you your life. Okay? So, yeah, I'm not inviting that, and we do pray that this doesn't end fatally for anyone. There's nothing in the cards that suggests that anyone's life is in danger here, okay? But certainly someone's freedom is. And certainly for whoever these people are that have been using your energy, you've been a shield for them in some way. You've been a protection for them. You've been the difference between karma waiting at the door and karma entering the door for them. You've been that shield. And so now it's time for you to not be that shield, okay? And let them get what they get. But this is a confession here. This is a confession, and I also want to say that if this is some criminal thing that someone is engaged in and trying to figure out how to extract themselves from without becoming, you know, a target of the gangsters or whatever, you know, however you're trying to figure it out. You don't want no beef, you just want out, whatever. If you go to the authorities and you know, tell them what happened, right? You should also be prepared that you will have to do some time also, right? Like you may not get off scot-free, right? You may not get off scot-free. But I'm going to tell you, even with that snitches get stitches narrative floating around in the ethers, the fact is your honor is going up if you handle this well, not down, okay? You will be more honored, not less, right? And, yeah, wow. Wow, okay, the bottom of the deck is doing so much. All right, so, and notice, with this reading, we've got nothing going on in the past. We are looking at from now forward, right? So that tells me that whatever happened in the past, like, forget all of it. Right now, you're dealing with what is from this point on, right? From this point on, what will you do? How will you conduct yourself from this point on? Okay? Look at it as a blank slate. You entered life today with the circumstances that you're in today. Forget any allegiances, forget any accidents, forget anything that happened over here in this blank. You see the barren land of the past here, where there's nothing, no cards here. Everything is over here in the present and in the future, right? And so, and mostly internal stuff going on, mostly internal, except where you have this other person, or it may be a group of people that you're trying to get the outcome of them carrying their own weight, right? So don't bring up the past. It doesn't matter. And when they bring up the past, it doesn't matter. Okay? That doesn't have nothing to do with now. We're looking at the future. And if that's a line you need to stay, look, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. Okay? It doesn't matter. It's in the past. Okay? Stick to that story. That's your story, and you're sticking to it. Okay? So what other fears and hopes and projections? Yeah, now we're getting into it. Now we're getting into it. So, yes, you have been cheated, okay? Yes, they did lie to you about however much money was made or gained or earned or whatever, okay? Yes, they lied to you. The people that you worked with, they lied. They definitely took more than, they made more off of this in some way than what they told you. You got slighted. And so, yeah, you're correct. You got a feeling that they you know, it's like somebody hires you, you know, come on, we're going to go break in this house and steal the whatever, silverware. But, you know, while you're like working on the bagging up the silverware, you know, they're in the other room in the safe getting the jewels. And so you get out of there and, you know, you're like, what were you doing in the other room? And they're like, no, man, I was just looking around, see if there was anything else. Did you find anything? No, not really. Nothing else, you know. Did you get the silverware? You're like, yeah, I got the silverware. And then, you know, you guys go and you pawn the silverware somewhere and then you split the money, right? But you got a feeling, there was more to it. Why would they need me to help them break in and just steal the silverware? There had to be more to it than that. And what were they doing? Why did it take them so long? If they were just looking for something else of value, why did it take them so long? And you're like putting it together. Yeah, absolutely. What you think had happened, yeah, they were in there getting something of greater value than the silverware. Okay? Yes, that did happen. You did get robbed. Okay? That's all here. That's in this lost blessing, in this lost treasure and inequality. You got played. And remember I said to watch the lawyer because the lawyer might overcharge you. Yeah, people are going to keep trying to play you like that. They're going to keep trying to play you like that. And you have this hope and fear that it's going to happen. And yeah, it is, right? They have tried you and they may continue to try you. Right, to offer you half of the story so that you only get half of the benefits in some weird way, which is what has probably created this imbalance in the first place, which is why you feel like you need to cut these MFers off because they're, you know, like you leaving your house in the middle of the night to go break in the neighbor's house, you know, or across town or drive 4 hours to go break in somebody's house to get, you know, a couple $1,000s worth of silver. You're like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't call me for them kind of deals. You know what I'm saying? Because like, it's not really worth it for you to do all that, put your family at risk and everything for $1,000, you know? Now, maybe you might have felt differently if you realized they got, $4 million worth of jewels out of the safe. You might feel like it was more worth it, you know? Or you might feel like this is way too big of a risk. We could go to jail forever for that shit. But you have that suspicion because, yes, it is true. Okay? It's very, very true that they have been taking advantage of you. Okay. Is there more? Spirit of truth, love, wisdom, prophecy. Is there more? Is there more? Wow, a lot more. People are going to... The Most High is with this person who's going to take your confession. Okay? The Most High is with this person that is going to take your confession. The Most High has sent this person to you to specifically be the one to take your confession. Okay? This is an angel. This person that's going to take your confession is operating in earth angel energy, which means they could be an actual earth angel, or they could be under the direction, guidance, or even possession of an earth angel. An earth angel is working through this person. This is a divine figure, authority figure, who is coming in to take your confession, okay? A lot has come out here. All right, so safety and security, this inequality, this loss of the blessing. Yeah, it's a house. A house. Safety, security, a house. Inequality. And again, we've got these handcuffs. But the handcuffs, inequality, the handcuffs, somebody's not bound to this inequality. Oh, okay. I don't know what's up with this house here. With the security, this house, this community. This community, unequal. Give me a minute, guys. What are you saying here? That falls under protection. Oh, okay. So because when you tell the story, it's going to show that you don't even know they got $4 million worth of jewels. You don't even know that because you're going to tell the story. This divine agent is being specifically sent to get your story because they're going to get it from you in an upright way that's going to cause you to give the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, right? And they're not offering you, they're not going to offer you immunity, right? They're not going to offer you immunity. But your testimony is going to make the difference between you taking the full weight of what this group has done and not. Because only in your testimony is the truth of what you didn't know going to be revealed. Because they are presenting it as if all of you knew everything. As if you knew you were going into that house to steal $2 million or $4 million worth of jewels. And that makes a difference, right? That's going to make a difference. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes it's like, oh, well, you was with them, you was the dumb one and didn't know they stole jewels, but you still was with them and committed a crime, so you're going to do as much time as them. Sometimes that's the case. But in this particular case, with whatever you're dealing with, in this particular case, you going and telling exactly what happened and how it happened, don't add no fluff, don't leave nothing out, right? Be exact, clear, concise with your words, presenting the facts as they are, is going to show that you did not, you were not aware of what you were in quite. And that is going to protect you. And it looks like it may get you out of jail sooner than them, right? You're going to get out of jail sooner, or you may not even, like, you may not even be, like, you may go to, like, you may spend some time in county, right? You may go to jail, be arrested, maybe get bailed out, but then you may not have to do time. Like, these people are going to have to do time. I don't know what this house is trying to say, though, because I know that, never mind, let's not speak on what we don't know. Ooh, all right, not necessarily being talked about or seen. We've got bad luck, helper, and a bad marriage. Bad luck, a bad helper, and a bad marriage. Fuck. Strategy, bad luck, bad helper, bad marriage. Y'all know what that sounds like. That sounds like don't trust your girl, okay? Don't trust whoever you're sleeping with. Whoever you're sleeping with is why you're caught up in this shit. You may or may not know it, but whoever you're sleeping with, or your bestie even, right? Because the marriage, when we hear marriage, we typically, of course, think of man and wife, but a marriage could be a business merger. A marriage could be two very best friends. It just means two things that are locked in together, right? So watch your inner circle, bro. Something about this strategy, if it includes, this is a time for you to be autonomous in the way that you present yourself. Do not, if you have a best friend that's part of the group that you also want to protect, or if your girl you're worried about, is your girl going to be okay and you want to protect, this is not the time for that. Do not build that into your strategy. Okay? Don't do that, because that will destroy this. You are, right now, everybody is facing karma, right? And you have favor in the ethers. You're seen with this group of ne'er-do-wells, but you're not seen like them. Okay? And so the thing that's fragile, what makes you vulnerable, is some close relationship with someone who brings you down. Someone who you love dearly, but whose impact on your life brings you down. And you're trying to figure out how to keep them covered in your strategy. Don't. Remember, the past doesn't exist. You only have now and forward. You cannot cover that person's karma. You can only cover your own. If you try to tell the story in a way where you kind of make that person look not as guilty or leave out parts that may be, no, you better not do that. You better not do that. Or it will destroy your whole thing. It'll defeat the purpose of all of whatever you're doing. It'll show you to be one of them, right? Not you be, they say we're in it and not of it. You'll be considered in and of it at that point. And this is someone that you love. You better not help them. You better not help them. You just tell the truth, man. Just tell the freaking truth. No matter how it makes anybody look, just tell the truth. And let the chips fall where they may. Is there more? Spirit of truth, love, wisdom, and prophecy. Is there more? Is there more? Spirit of truth, love, wisdom, and prophecy. Is there more? No, that's it. Now, let's see if that's it from this deck. Wow. That does feel like a reading. It does feel pretty complete, but we'll consult the pendulum and see if that's all. Have we understood Or did we miss anything? Have we understood? Or did we miss anything? We've understood. The pendulum is so slight these days. Like sometimes it's like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. But lately it's been like barely wanting to answer. Is that all? Or is there more? Is that all? Or is there more? Is that all? Or is there more? Okay. It looks like there could be more if we want to dig, but I don't want to dig. It feels like a good place to break this reading. So, whoever you are, I do want to peek at the bottom here. Miracles. Miracles. Yeah, that's why the divine sent this angel to take your testimony. A miracle is going to happen for you. A miracle is going to happen for you because what you're thinking, what has the potential to destroy you, to ruin you, right? Going in with this confession, it puts a lot on the line, but you will come out honorable in the end because you've been honorable. That's the truth. And maybe people would be like, how can they be honorable if in this example you said they broke in somebody's house and stole their silverware, right? It's one thing to break in somebody's house and steal some silverware, right? But if you're with a group of thugs that would kill for the silverware, and you never would, right? You would never kill for the silverware. Like whatever, it's an insurance write-off. It's not like some heirloom. It's, they could go to Macy's and buy another set, with the insurance money, no big deal, right? Not saying that stealing is honorable, but everything exists on a spectrum, right? And so your uprightness will protect you. It's a miracle. It's literally a miracle for how this is going to work out for you. If you do the right thing, right? So whoever you are, I pray that you will speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that the highest timeline outcome will result for you. Hallelujah. I was going to pray for your comrades, and I heard don't. So I won't. All right. I'm Jedi, Empress Jedi, the Rabble Rouser, High Priestess of Ma'at. This has been a Black Enlightainment production. Here at Black Enlightainment, we are broadcasting consciousness. Most High be glorified, magnified, and praised. Don't forget that you are absolutely perfect. You're perfect, perfect, perfect. It's impossible to be created by a perfect deity and be imperfect. Whoever told everybody that we are all imperfect was a liar with the tongue of the devil, okay? It's impossible for a perfect creator to create anything imperfect. Hallelujah. Just impossible, right? So we're all perfect, even the devil, him and herself. Perfect manifestations of delusion, okay? The imagination, what the imagination can create, the concept that one could be separate from or opposing to the all in all in all. How can you be separate from the all in all? How can you be opposite of everything? The only way to be opposite of everything is to be nothing. And nobody's nothing. So nothing's nothing. Only nothing is nothing. So either the devil's nothing, which, in a lot of spiritualities, there is no devil, right? Like, what do you mean devil? What does that mean? Like, it's impossible. So either the devil is nothing or the devil is delusion. The rest of us are perfect, and even the devil, but don't tell him that because he'll be pissed. I love you guys. Have a blessed day. I'm going to go and probably do my TikTok readings. Typically, I do TikTok first, but I'm going to do TikTok now. So thanks for tuning in. I love you guys. Shalom.